what was the offense? Where is the documentation? For those who have faced those kind of situations, the trials have gone on indefinitely because there is no evidence. The courts there really should have no jurisdiction. So they are imposed, these cases are imposed on them, and there is nowhere to go. And so the individuals are basically just persecuted through the legal process in those countries ad infinitum, because there is no end to it when there is no evidence.
Okay. So you see a collision between heads of state when it comes to systemic human rights abuses?
That is apparent. That is apparent. Otherwise,
yeah,
the heads of state should be the individual that says enough of this, because that's where the power lies. The power to stop it, the power to ensure that there is investigation, and the power to ensure that there is accountability and justice lies with the president. If the president is not aware, if I were the president, I would be highly offended, and I would do the right thing to make sure that my authority is respected. Those kind of events, those types of abuses should not be acceptable. And if they're acceptable and they are going on, the presidents cannot ignore what is happening. It's either they are directly involved or they are complicit.
Okay. So you mentioned that in Kenya, the state of human rights is deteriorating. What about the Africa picture? The continent, how is it looking?
It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Somewhat like Kenya here. We have some bright spots where there's progress on that front on human rights. But from the work that we do, we realize that there is that progression from injustice, from repression, where people have no legitimate opportunity to express either dissent or disagreement in a peaceful manner. Ultimately, they are pushed to take up arms. And we see this happening in all of the troubled spots in Africa. The conflicts, whether it was the Tigray, now hopefully ended Tigray, conflict in Ethiopia, or the conflict still going on in Sudan, or even the still subnational level conflicts going on in South Sudan. In the Sahel, we have conflicts between armed Islamic insurgents and government forces, which has ended up in the destruction of not just the infrastructure that did not even properly exist in those locations, but the destruction of human lives. Now, all of those people that we speak to every day, they're asking for justice. Where that justice does not come, there is a narrative of grievance, a narrative of injustice that ultimately feeds and drives people into violence, into extremism. You look around the continent, this is the context in which the worst human rights violations occur, around whether it's the killing, the massacres, the dismemberment. I mean, you see some of the videos that soldiers are shooting of themselves, and I'm talking about regular and irregular soldiers, whether it's the Rapid Support Forces or the Sudanese Armed Forces in Sudan, for example, or in the Sahel, videoing themselves killing their so-called enemies or people that they believe are supporters of the enemies, and then just cutting up their bodies. We have evidence of women and girls raped systematically, some held in sexual slavery. And then we have millions of Africans displaced from their homes, lost everything. They have nothing to call their own, just managed to escape with the clothes on their backs. We have more than 12 million in Sudan alone, the worst humanitarian crisis in the world right now. What is the cause? What is the solution?
Yeah.
Those are the questions that we continue to ask ourselves. For as long as we have those, atrocities and the intensity of them happening on the continent, we cannot say that there is progress on the front of human rights, yeah, or humanitarian.
And the solution is part of what we'll talk about in just a bit. But do you think the interjurisdiction trials are in any way getting to what they should be? Are people getting justice in these interjurisdiction trials? Because you see someone is arrested here, taken to a different place, and then the evidence has to be adduced there. There has to be different judges. You saw that even with Kizza Besigye. Is this interjurisdictional movement of the perceived perpetrators?
You cannot found justice on injustice.
Yeah.
The abduction, the surreptitious abduction of these individuals is founded on an injustice and a violation of international human rights law and international refugee law, or even just the right of, to visit a country. Besigye, for example, was not here as a refugee. He was here for a business, and then he was abducted. There is no foundation for which to build a justice and an accountable system on. You have to start from if you're going to respect the law, it has to be from the beginning. First, the arrest must be legal. The process of the arrest, ensuring that the individuals know the reason why they are being arrested, who the arresting authority is, what authority they do have, the warrant for that arrest must be made clear. These are the due process rights that are missing. Now, there cannot be justice where those foundational issues are not properly addressed. Now, when you call it interjurisdictional justice, I don't even know what to make of that, because this is, for us, it is transnational repression. Repression that goes outside of your borders. And we see it happen in so many places. I'll give you the example of Rwanda. Rwandan authorities are so intolerant of criticism, of dissent, and if they come after you, you flee the country, they cannot reach you for a bit, they will go after your family back home. Your father, your mother, your brother, your sisters, your children, no one is safe. And they would hold them until they can, you either show up or they can get you. We've had people picked up from as far away as Australia and warned that if they did not desist, their families back home, who didn't do anything, will remain in detention. Some have their relatives who've been arrested under those circumstances, essentially taken hostage because they're looking for someone else. They have remained in detention until whenever.
Yeah.
So endless examples of how this transnational repression is chilling out the environment in Africa. Listen, in any democracy, in any human endeavor, everyone cannot agree with you. You must, and that's why human rights principles are the foundation of any democratic society. It includes the right to freely express an opinion. If I'm not taking up arms, if I am peacefully protesting, if I am peacefully assembling with other people, if I'm peacefully associating with other people, it should be guaranteed to me as a human being. And no one, because they have the power to do so, but because they happen to be in authority today and have the instruments of force that accrues to the state, use that against me to try to silence me, to try to quieten me, or to kill me.
What do you say to the critics who claim that human rights bodies are either funding or fueling revolt? Just by simply stating what you stated, that our situation is not good, then the authorities say, you're the one who's fueling revolt in my country. We're absolutely okay.
So when you say civil society, I always ask, what exactly do you mean? The people who are speaking are civilians. They are part of civic society. So it's not until you register an NGO that you are civil society. Everyone who is not a government official, who is not part of the military, is part of this, of civil society. And so when you say one is funding the other, what exactly do you mean? How much do you need to express an opinion on X, on social media? How much do you need to say to your friend, I don't like what is happening, should we really accept this? When your friend is abducted or picked up, detained for endless periods, prolonged trial, persecuted for whatever reason, are you going to wait for a donor somewhere? You know, I think it also plays on the intelligence of people. You are saying your people are not intelligent enough. They're not smart enough to think for themselves. No one is funding anyone. Of course, you can receive support. You can receive support to mobilize for those who are minded to do that, because, you know, there is a sense that there are societies that are not open enough for people to express an opinion. But when you are running an election, there would be an opposition. If there's no opposition, there's something wrong. In the countries where the incumbent would win 99.9% of elections, that's against human nature.
Yeah. I know you...
There is manipulation and control somewhere.
But you do know that most of the abductees, their first question they're always asked is, who is funding you?
Yeah.
So is that a real concern, or is this just a way of deviating attention from the main issues?
It is scapegoating.
Okay.
It is scapegoating. It's also deflection. You know, it's easy to try to target someone else and blame it elsewhere. So it's pushing the blame, and that blame game is, you know, sometimes it's ludicrous. Sometimes it can be really disturbing, because essentially what they want to do is to shut out those who could provide a platform. Sometimes what we have, my organization has, is a platform for many of us who would still be doing this work anyways if I wasn't working for them. But, you know, I have a platform. I have, you know, an opportunity to do this on a professional level. Take that away, it doesn't mean that I'll be quiet. I'll just have to find another way to do it. And so, you know, targeting donor organizations, targeting the donor community, smearing them with bad names, is a deflection, is a red herring. Focus on the issue.
Okay.
Are the claims that these individuals are making, are they right? The protests in Kenya, was it legitimate? Were people right to be worried about the rising cost of living? Were they right to be worried about the imposition of new taxes that would have taken more money out of the meager amounts they had in their pockets, while the rich continue to be richer? The inequality in our society is growing. The economic inequality is outrageous. And so, was it legitimate? Why not focus on that?
Okay.
So rather than go after these red herrings and looking for, you know, in the shadows for those who you think, you know, if we harass these ones, then maybe the others will keep quiet. It doesn't work. Okay.
So what is the plan going forward? How do you remedy this entire situation?
We continue to confront. We continue to investigate. You see, facts are sacred. If you continue to get to the root of the facts, we continue to get the data, confront the authorities with it, at least we take away their right to a claim of we did not know. Now we say, you know, because we have done some of that work for you. We have dug it up. What you would have wanted to be secret. You know, I mean, the president is one person. The parliament is how many people in a nation of millions. They may not know everything. And so we provide them with this information. And that's why our methodology, we triangulate. Before we publish anything, we send the data, the information we have to the authorities and ask them for their response and comments. Long before we publish, actually, we delay publication until we hear from them. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, the opportunity to say we do not know is not there, and then the opportunity to say we cannot, you know, hold these people accountable is also taken away. If they don't do it, we'll take it elsewhere. There are other institutions, there are other bodies that they belong to, maybe the Community of Nations, where, you know, accountability is important, and which are all underpinned, whether it's the UN, it's the African Union, underpinned by human rights principles and respect for human rights, to which many of these African countries have signed up to and ratified.
Is there a ranking? How do you do in terms of the continent, countries? We don't do
rankings. There are organizations who do that. It can be very scientific and technical, and you know we choose not to do that because you know you rank them today and tomorrow they're tumbling down. But you know rather we focus on the themes and the issues that are bedeviling one nation and say focus on this. You know this is where you're getting it wrong, and where they get it right, we're quick to also commend.
All right. Your final message to the people and the government.
The people keep doing what you're doing. Keep speaking truth to power. You cannot roll over in the face of oppression. If you see oppression, say something. Don't keep quiet, don't ignore it. We have to be our brother's keeper. We have to be courageous, and we have to continue to help the authorities as well. And to the authorities, listen, the power is transient. You will not always be there. Tomorrow it will be someone else. If you create laws that threaten the rights of people, that take away the rights of people, it will come back to bite you where you're no longer in the position of power you have today. So while you have the power to do the right thing, do it.
Okay. Thank you so much for making time this morning. Mausi Shegun, Executive Director, Africa Human Rights Watch, speaking to us on the state of human rights in the continent and in Kenya as well. We're taking a quick break here. On the break, when we come back, we're speaking about the university funding model crisis. We'll have some of the student leaders here with us. Also, Godfrey Munari, who's the CEO of University Fund, will be here to answer the questions directly from them. All right? See you in just a bit.